Hey, thank you for joining me today. We have some big news in the silver market, in the gold market that we need to talk about. I'm glad you joined me. I'm kind of glad Pippi's here as well. We're going to get rid of her and we're going to dig into a couple big stories this week after we do a thorough and complete review of all the action in the silver market, in the gold market, in the general markets. We got some interesting things to talk about as we head into 2023. Let's get started right now. All right, you get out of here. I love you, but you need to go. The Bank of Japan did something very good for the price of gold, and we have the big GDP lie. We're going to talk about both of those later in the video, but first, let's recap what happened in the markets. Gold was about even on the week, right around $1,800 per ounce. So not a great week, not a bad week. We'll take it, right? We're consolidating, hopefully around $1,800 as we head into 2023, where the sky is literally the limit. But don't look up there because Santa Claus is in the sky right now. Next, let's look at the GDXJ. It was up 2% on the week. Now, the GDXJ, as I'm sure you know, is the index that tracks the junior gold mining company. So the gold miners actually had a decent week, up 2%. Started the week at $35.23, ended the week at $36.12. I say this to you every week, but I know it's so important for us to remember. Just back in April of this year, and pretty soon we won't be able to say that anymore because it's already going to be 2023. But in April of this year, the GDXJ was at $52 per share. It would have to go up almost by 50% from where it is right now just to get back to where it was in April. Well, that cat Pippi might be a little bit of a pain in my butt, but you aren't. You, yes you, there's only one you, even today on Christmas Eve, are always welcome to join me here in Ron's Basement. We dig a little deeper. We like to look at the difficult subjects. We're not like most people, right? We're a sliver of the world's population. You're joining me right now from somewhere in the world, right now. We got to stick together. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Now let's get back to the video. So I think it's safe for us to say, let me know what you think, that the gold mining stocks have a lot of runway ahead of them. And we need to remember that they've rallied up to this $36 per share range on the GDXJ ETF, that is, 236 from 26 just like 6-7 weeks ago. So we've had a pretty tremendous rally in the junior gold mining stocks. But again, lots of room to go to the upside. Now, I love that cat, but man, can she be a pain in my butt. Really, the cats belong to Susie, my wife. You think that's bad. That cat harasses me even 10 times worse as soon as I get out of bed in the morning and she wants food. Now, let's move on to silver. Silver was up 2% for the week. Started the week at $23.41 per ounce, ended the week at $23 and not 91, 92 cents per ounce. So a good week for silver. Silver mining stocks also up about 2% for the week. But what about the S&P 500, where everybody puts their money, right? Remember? Just put your money in the S&P 500 anytime in the last 20 years, and it's like a magic slot machine almost. It just spits out returns. Well, that's not been the case this year, and not for the last few weeks, unfortunately, for those of you or the rest of the herd that has their money in the S&P 500. It was down about, 1%, less than 1% for the week. The feeling in the general markets is a little, I don't say nervous, maybe a little depressed, it feels like right now. But again, gold and silver are kind of hanging in there pretty good. We're not that far off, especially in gold, from the all-time highs that we hit just within the last year. So we could be in for a great ride in gold. We love gold, and we know when gold goes up, you know what happens. Silver goes up as well, and usually at a much faster pace. I found this next point very interesting. The 10-year bond was up, the yield, from 3.5 to 3.75 this week. Usually when that happens, I didn't even realize that happened until I was prepping for this interview. Usually when the 10-year bond yield goes up, that makes the dollar go up, that makes gold and silver go down, but we didn't really see that happen this week. That's very interesting. If you have any thoughts on that, share them in the comment section below, please. The US dollar was actually down on the week from about 105 down to almost 104. Now I'm fudging a little bit on both sides of that, but the dollar was down, which again doesn't quite make sense with the 10-year bond yield being up, unless I got this screwed up. Look, I'm not perfect. Like I've told you before, none of us are perfect. You're not perfect, I'm not perfect. We all make mistakes, but I'm pretty sure I got that right. That's weird that the 10-year bond yield went up, but the dollar went down. But we know why the dollar went down. Do you want to know why? I'm telling you, your friends, your family at the Christmas dinner table, they're going to be just fascinated by this. They'll look at you with a blank look in their face like, oh, okay. But the reason why the US dollar went down was because the yen went up. And we're going to talk about that later in the video. That's a key thing, a key catalyst for us to keep in mind as we move into 2023. Our old friend Bitcoin was up about 1% for the week. I was listening. Have you ever listened to Michael Saylor? I listened to a recent interview he did last night with that rebel capitalist guy. It was interesting. I sensed a change in attitude from Mr. Saylor, who was always this like, oh, just buy Bitcoin, it solves everything, blah, blah, blah. It was a very interesting article. I think maybe some of these Bitcoin people and cryptocurrency people, those of them who aren't in jail, are starting to get a little bit of humility, and that's good to see. You love gold, I love gold, we love silver too. Let's touch on gold quickly. CNBC, of all people, had an article out this week talking about how gold could get to $4,000 per ounce in 2023. CNBC said that. They have long ignored gold. That was a very good sign. Don't forget, guys, gold and silver sniff out the future. As Larry Leopard said, I heard him say this, so I'm stealing this from you, Larry Lawrence. Gold and silver look around the corner. And when they're looking around the corner and they see first and second quarter of 2023, they're seeing things that might mean a little bit or a lot bit higher price for silver and gold. Okay, the big story of the week. And again, this isn't getting plastered all over the Wall Street Journal or the CNBCs or anything like that, but I'm telling you, we know the big things that really mattered oftentimes are kind of ignored, and that's the Bank of Japan, right? They announced they were going to let their long-term interest rate float a little bit. That was essentially a hawkish move by them, a tightening move. That sent their currency flying, the yen, right? They got to a point where they were like, we got to do something because the yen's losing all this value. When the yen flew, the dollar went down, gold and silver skyrocketed. That happened on Monday. But what it's important about this to remember is they're just now starting that process. The United States has led the way with all this tightening, and they're probably going to lead the way with the loosening. And that's going to create a window of opportunity, maybe 6 months, maybe 9 months, maybe as long as a year, where the U.S. is starting to loosen their monetary policy, but the rest of the world is going to have to play catch up, just like they did when the U.S. tightened their monetary policy. Again, I don't want to confuse you, but potentially what this creates is a window, a 6 to 12 month window, where we've got loosening from the United States. That means the dollar goes down. That means gold and silver go up, while the rest of the world has to play catch up for a while. It could be a very interesting period of time for the price of the precious metals, which we know fundamentally anyway have massive value underpinning their price where it is right now. The other big story of the week was this big lie GDP number that came out. The third quarter GDP number blew everything away. I'm telling you, That Joe Biden, he just never ceases to amaze me with his keen economic management skills. I don't know how he does it, but boy, the U.S. economy is on fire. According to whoever puts it out, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, I don't believe it. I think any of us with boots on the ground know that the U.S. economy is struggling. There are a zillion data points that indicate things are slowing down. Shipping, real estate, automobiles, layoffs, you name it. So when that news came out, right, that the U.S. economy is doing great in the third quarter, it was exploded with growth and blah, blah, blah. Well, that was perceived as further solid ground for the Federal Reserve. I haven't talked about Jerome Powell yet in this video, but that would give them some solid ground from which to continue with their aggressive monetary policy, which makes the dollar go up and makes the price of gold and silver down, down, down. But they couldn't push it down too far because we still ended the week at $1,800 per ounce. Hey, happy holidays, guys. I will look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great holiday and be well.
Way down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing a bushel of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. That's the jingle bell rock. Have a holly jolly Christmas. And in case you didn't hear, oh, by golly, have a holly jolly